Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round two of Open Wheel for Amateurs 2023 Season 3 at the Austrian Grand Prix, the Red Bull Ring, here in the hills of Spielberg. This racing series brought to you by Ninja Botanicals and AlienAwards.net. We've got an F3 race ahead of us with both a feature and a sprint race, 36 laps and 25 laps respectively. I don't know if it's possible to top the excitement of the opening round at Silverstone, but if anywhere can, it's here. And again, I'm joined in the booth by my co-host, Aaron Claybaugh. Aaron, you almost can't get a circuit more simple than this one. 10 turns, only 7 of them are real. What opportunities does that simplicity open up for this field of drivers?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of passing tonight, a lot of overtakes in the braking zones. Who can get into the braking zone a little bit deeper than someone else, and who's going to take that extra inch? But I think that's also going to lead to quite a few big crashes here tonight. So I think we might be seeing some more red flags, but I'm looking forward to watching this race tonight.
Yeah, not a lot of slow sections on this track, and key is that the run down to turn one is not a slow corner either, so it'll be tough for them to work their way through that. Turn 2 is that little kink in the straight, and turn 3 being the hairpin. I think that's probably where we'll see most of the action. I mean, even outside of collisions, just really easy to loop it there on cold tires.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when we were here a couple seasons ago with these cars, turn 3 was very much a hot spot for a lot of overtakes, but a lot of spin outs. So yeah, I think it's going to be just who can be conservative at the beginning until their tires get a little bit heat in them, and then they can kind of go full send.
Yeah, we come into this race. Will Borland is our overall points leader. However, from my last check, he is not in today's session, so he will not be the leader coming out of this race. And right now, the driver with the most points in the field, who's at this race right now, Nicholas Paletti, 4 points behind him in the overall standings here, and put in a pretty competitive practice time. However, the fastest practice time in the field was from Ken Huber, who is our third place stander.
Yeah, Ken Huber was very strong last week. Got into a little bit of a mix-up, I think, in the feature, so I think he's just trying to bounce back and put together 2 really solid races here tonight.
Yeah, a couple guys trying to rectify some. We saw both red flags in both of the first both the heats last event. So a couple guys trying to rectify some incidents that they had early in the race or late in the race. Stephen Thompson here, of course, had a chance at a win in our last race at Silverstone. Unfortunately, a late mistake took him out of that. Still finished well. Is 9th in the overall standings right now. Zach Nurnberger is 4th overall and 1st for the B class. However, his time in practice was really strong. Now, obviously, that was a mistake lap there, but if he puts in a lap again of that quality, he'll find himself in A class today.
Yeah, very strong lap already we see from Ken Huber here, and Daniel Reel set a purple sector 1, but unfortunately lost it in that last sector. That last sector is going to be very difficult to minimize off tracks, and unfortunately if you get an off track, it invalidates your lap, so people having to check up going through there to keep it on the track as Joshua Doty goes to the top.
And Josh Doty, the B class driver as it is, he was not at the first race, so he is a totally clean slate. We don't know where to expect him in this field. However, he's certainly put his stamp on this qualifying session so far. He's got that 2/10 gap. Not a huge field spread, however, it is a short track for the most part, and like we said, with a few corners and few braking zones, not a lot of places to really kind of pull away from your competitors.
No, not at all. A slipstream is going to be super powerful tonight, and it's going to be a matter of which line you pick can impact who's going to complete the overtake. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, especially even at the start with a standing start. That's going to make things even more interesting here.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a modification to the standing start rules from the first event. Just some lessons learned from that. The field will be allowed to rejoin. As Nicholas Paletti there puts his car into first place as it stands, but they will be able to rejoin the field. However, they will start at the start-finish line instead of starting when the pole sitter decides. So we will see a more standard restart procedure.
Yeah, it takes some of the variables out of it, where the leader was determining where to restart the race. So that's kind of eliminated now. It's more standardized and a little bit more fair to the entire field. As we see Daniel Reel slots into 3rd there. So the top 3 right now, all A class.
This corner right here is going to be another one that's difficult for the drivers. Schlosgold there. A lot of chances to understeer, especially if you're battling. You're going to be on the outside. I mean, in F1, we've seen plenty of incidents there in that corner. Hopefully we don't see any today, but it would not be a huge shock if drivers are battling really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. That gets very tight through there, but these cars really lend themselves to being able to race side by side through pretty much all of these corners, except maybe the last one. So I think these first few laps are going to be very critical to the rest of the race. As we see, Steve Kube has set a purple sector 2 and a personal best sector 1. This could be a very good lap coming here.
Kube had a strong time in practice. He's coming up to the line with green and purple. Let's see what his sector 3 is, a yellow, but Ken Huber actually at that exact same time puts his way into first there. So that's Ken Huber putting himself ahead of Paletti. Whatever happened in that final sector, unfortunately, wrecked that lap for Kube there. Dan Real just put in purple sector 1, but I don't think the time improved.
Yeah, you have to wonder.
Oh, he did. He was in second. I'm sorry.
You have to wonder if Kube was just trying to avoid an off track there. Like I said, that last turn is just so critical and could really mess up your lap if you get an off track there. So I'm wondering if he just had to back out of it a little.
Yeah, it's going to mess up safety points for these drivers as well. I was mentioning Nicholas Paletti was 4 points behind Borland. Their actual race points were differed by 8, but Paletti had 7 safety points from last week's race, or last 2 weeks ago, last event. 7 safety points compared to Will Borland's 3. So that's how he's kept it closer than you may have initially expected. And you'll see as we come through this whole season that those safety points, especially since they don't drop, are important. A little bit of a slide there.
Yeah, I was walking through the garage earlier talking to a couple of my teammates, and they were saying basically you have to almost choose tonight. Are you going to go be a little more conservative and get your safety points, or are you going to just go for the win and risk it all? So it seems like if you really push around here, as we see Ken Huber put another fantastic lap in there, be a matter of what the drivers choose tonight.
Yeah, Huber extends his advantage there by about another 10th. Real was just under a 10th and is now over 2 tenths there. So Terry Kiger Jr. jumping up basically the entire field there, putting in a 125.2 and in 3rd place. So as it stands right now, if we were to have qualifying end, we would have both Josh Doty and Paul Boyle elevating themselves from B class to A class. Again, this is Josh Doty's first race here, was not at Silverstone. But Paul Boyle was very close to making it into A, I believe, in the Silverstone race, but as it stands right now, would be the last guy in.
Yeah, it was interesting. I know Paul was a little bit off the pace at Silverstone, and he kind of informed me that his wheel mount was actually loose, and he's running with a loose wheel mount that's kind of been offset the last few weeks, but he seems to have rectified the issue now, so I think we'll see him a little bit more competitive here tonight, and hopefully a good bounce back for him.
Jeff McDonald also not at the first race. That time right there must not have been a legal time because that did not get put on the board. He's currently in 17th. Don't think that he's now 18th. I don't think he's really got a representative lap in yet. That last lap must have been one that was an off track, disallowed it. Zach Nurnberger, 2 green sectors and a yellow, moves up a few positions there from 15th to 11th. Our race 2 winner from last event. And Kevin Bergquist here does have 1 green sector, 1 yellow sector. Not many other drivers have time to really finish a lap at this point. Bergquist may be the last guy across the line here.
Yes, to mention on Zach there, Zach Nurnberger, he's got his work cut out for him. He has an EOL for an incident in the sprint race last week, or in the feature race rather. So he'll be coming from the back, and I think his main goal will just be to try to get into that top 10 inversion zone so he can start up front in the second race. Yeah,
good point. And I forgot to bring that up. That is how the end of lines will be served for this, is that the drivers will start from the pits, and it will be in order of the drivers as they finished, and no time for McDonald to finish a lap there either. Unfortunately, Elijah on an improvement, but time runs out right now, so we will be right back as we get our class structure sorted out. So see you in just a couple minutes. All right, we are back. We have our elevated drivers of Josh Doty and Paul Boyle there. So all top 8 drivers, no pro drivers or no A-class drivers really making any mistakes in qualifying there. All exactly the top 8 spots. I mean, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you the cream rises to the top. So, although I think we're going to see a big mix-up here on the start. I think we're going to see a lot of passing, a lot of overtakes, and probably, fortunately, some incidents. So I think we're in for a show right here in a little bit once they get off the line.
Drivers have 2 minutes to grid for this race. This will be 36 laps. Then they will have a small period in between where we will get to hear from the winners of our 2 races last event. Well, Borland's not here. We will hear from Zach Nurnberger, though. And then we will have that 25-lap sprint right after this. But let's get buckled in for this here as Ken Huber is going to lead him off the line here in pole position with Daniel Real right to his side there in that yellow F3 car.
It's going to be all about the reaction time. Who can get off the line first? Because Daniel Real does have the preferred line going into the first corner here. So it'll be very interesting to see if he can get that jump on him.
Waiting for the green flag. They got their engines running. Ken Huber, great start there. Great start. A mistake there back there by the Renault. I don't know.
Big crash.
Oh, that is going to be a red
4 or
flag
5
there.
Cars, that is definitely going to be a red flag. Huge crash. Fortunately, it looks like Adrian spun his tires, and it looked like 2 other drivers actually jumped the start, so there might be some penalties there.
Adrian Garcia was the one in that Renault F3 livery. Looks like he stalled getting off the line. Car in front was actually slow as well. Spun it. That's Tony Watson, I believe. Leonardo Elijah's behind, and then is that Brad McCombs there?
Daniel Barnett.
Daniel Barnett in that one who luckily no collision for him, but had to avoid that as a whole.
Yeah, and it looks like Richard Curry and Tony Watson, as I said, they may have jumped the start. They both have black flags for jumping the start.
That was a huge collision for Tony Watson there. Just gets launched in the air. Nothing he could do to avoid that. But with that red flag rule, he will have the ability to rejoin the field in the position that he qualified in.
Yeah, not sure how that will work with their black flags there. That'll be interesting to see how that works out. It just looked like everyone was very much anticipating the start there, and just that's kind of what happens on these standing starts. You know, one driver moves and another moves, and then you just have kind of chaos. So thankfully everyone gets another shot at it here.
Yeah, we had some slow starts in the field, some fast starts, and certainly one driver who had a plenty fast start here was Ken Huber. Let's just see that launch off the line, unfortunately neutralized due to that red flag. We can see here as they're getting gridded up, and yeah, you saw that jump back there, but Ken Huber had a massive lead there. Real actually fighting to keep his second place there as Huber was quite comfortably in first.
Yeah, Terry almost was able to get the move done, but did not have the preferred line there to have it be completed, unfortunately. But we'll see the drivers pull into the pits here, get their damage repaired if they need it, and get a little bit of a breather before they go at it again. Now the restart will be a rolling start, so should avoid any potential issues like we had here.
Yeah, it's not a long run into turn one for that standing start, so I mean, not a lot of moves were gonna be able to be made anyways. So at least compared to some other tracks, this probably has the least effect on how the race was. But I'm sure any of these drivers who had a really good start off the line will be a little disappointed that have to fall back to their grid spot. But that's just how it goes sometimes.
Unfortunately, it is. It actually looked like, as I'm going back and looking at some more replays, it looked like there was a few cars on the inside line that just did not get rolling. It looked like the outside line had a better start there. So I don't know if there's more grip or something out there, but definitely seemed to be the case there on that restart.
Yeah, whoever was in front of Adrian Vihil there seemed to have a struggle off the line as well, and he was on that right side too, like you said. So that is the car of Paul Boyle there. He struggled off the line, got it going. I was afraid that both those cars may have actually stalled, but They did get going. I think that Vihil maybe just a little bit of a panic to kind of get his car going. That's where that spin came from.
Yeah, I think so. And heads up driving there by Steven Thompson to miss both of those guys on that start there. He got a really good start and was able to avoid all that on that inside line.
The drivers do have 2 fast repairs, so we obviously have 1 fast repair that was used for any of those drivers involved in the incident, but any of those guys still have that 1 extra for any minor damage they may pick up and have to take during their pit stop here. We are, again, the strategy last race at Silverstone for the sprint race was literally came down to the final corner, only a couple drivers able to stretch it. It does not sound like that's going to be possible in this sprint race after this heat here. Even with a red flag, it looks like it's not, you just won't be able to stretch the fuel that long. So we're looking at a 1-stopper for both of these heats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be at least one driver that tries it, but I think after this first race, they'll know pretty clearly. I don't think it's going to be possible, but you never know.
Yeah, you can see there that's taken a bit for some of this field to bunch up here. It's also taken a bit for my standings to rectify here that Vihil and Watson are not in those positions. We're looking at Vihil on track here, so ignore the standings right now. He is not a lap down, or at least shouldn't be a lap down, so should get rectified probably when they cross the line here. Again, Ken Huber will be restarting the race at that at that start-finish line. Of course, when exactly he wants to go is up to him, but we'll be expecting the restart there at the line like you would normally expect.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to think about it a little strategically as much as he can in that box that he's in, but he doesn't want to give too much of a slipstream there to Daniel Riehl to put a move on him, so, or even into turn 3. So I think he's going to try to be very strategic about it here.
We will see as he comes around the last couple corners here, coming down into Rent, and he's going to be free to restart it pretty much any time at this point.
Yeah, I'm ready to see some good racing here. This track is fantastic for these cars, and as we see here, Huber's waiting a little bit here. He'll probably wait until he gets off of this corner here before he hits the throttle down.
Still waiting, actually. Still waiting.
Yeah.
Daniel Riehl getting antsy behind. Terry Calgar trying to keep his tires warm.
Contact. Daniel Riehl was bumping him there, telling him, "Hey man, it's time to go." And
that's the green. That's the start. That's the line right there. So he's got to be going. Ken Huber going. Obviously not going to be an opportunity for Riehl to get by just with how late he went there. Huber taking it through Niki Lauda curve, and looks like there maybe are a couple positions that switched there on that restart. I think Steven Thompson was able to get a position.
We got an
Berquist.
incident. Zachary Nurnberg and Daniel Barnett around in turn 1.
Let's see this real quick. This is Zach Nurnberger here, coming down into Niki Lauda curve. That is Barnett behind. Jeff McDonald behind that. He spent completely independent of each other. A spin by both cars.
Oh, we got another incident. Oh, this one's a little bit bigger. Terry Calgar Jr. in 3rd place has just spun it coming out of turn 3. Oh, he rejoins and takes out Leonardo.
Oh, no. Unfortunately, Terry had a little bit of a rough rejoin last race, and he rejoins here right into Leonardo Elijah.
That one's gotta hurt. Leonardo trying to limp it back to the pits, but a lot of damage on his car, and Terry has had to tow, so it's real unfortunate for those guys.
Well, at the front of the field, Ken Huber still keeps that lead. It's about 1.5 seconds as it stands. It's very tight through the field behind that. But those guys have kind of started to spread out at the front. This is John Kelly here hidden behind the trees.
Daniel Riehl goes wide. Paletti's going to have a run on him here down the front stretch for 2nd.
Here's Nicholas Paletti. He's trying to chase him down. Looks like he lost a little bit of steam as he had to let up a little bit. He's going to go to the inside here, I imagine. To the right side, down in the Niki Lauda curve. He's going to be behind. I think he's backing out of this one. He's backing out.
Oh, Riehl goes a little wide, but he holds on to it. And here comes Joshua Doty.
Yeah, Josh Doty was able to take the preferred line. Should have the momentum on Paletti down into this Remus curve here.
Yeah, he's got the toe off of Daniel. He should be able to possibly complete this pass.
Deep braking by Paletti. Deep braking, good braking by Doty. Deep braking Paletti. Both make it through. Don't go wide. And it looks like Doty's going to have the advantage, but they're going to be side by side coming down the Schlossgold. Well, no, Paletti's actually losing out. He's get back into the toe, see if he can grab some advantage again.
And that brings Christopher Newby right into this. So, I mean, this is going to be just a toss-up here until these guys can sort it out and get some gaps.
Here's Paletti's on board here. You can see that he definitely has lost that battle with Doty for now. Plenty of spots to try to get him back here. A little bit of aero wash as they go through that corner. Really the only high G corner of this track where you may have some battling going into it. These last couple corners, like you said, not really a passing opportunity, but there still may be a couple of brave drivers throughout the field. Stephen Thompson here is up one spot already from Kevin Berquist, I believe, and now trying to get Steve Cubey here. Steve goes way wide. If you go wide enough, you get a slowdown here. Let's see if that happens coming down this straight.
Yeah, you're trying to you want to get off that last corner as best as possible. So you're trying to set up a move for turn 3. I don't think there's going to be a ton of passing in turn 1 as we see Cubey going side by side there.
Yeah, it looked like Thompson maybe being a little tactical about that initially, and then actually went a little wide himself. Nicholas Paletti just made a pass on Josh Doty.
Doty's actually trying to get around Paletti. Paletti got really bad runoff of turn 1 there, and Doty is all over him.
Chris Newby right behind as well. All three of these drivers very close. Dan Real not really stepping away from these, but Ken Huber absolutely is. Ken Huber just put in a purple lap last lap. These three will stay in order coming into Schlossgold here, but very close between Doty and Paletti right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Daniel Burnett had an incident, so he's lost a little bit more time there after his first turn 1 spin.
Also just saw this here from Paul Boyle.
Paul Boyle, yeah.
Dipping into the gravel and riding it pretty extensively here.
Tony Watson goes off, spins it through, I don't even know what corner that was, but a very high-speed corner. Tony loses it.
You see there, Tony's still up 3 spots at least in 12th. There's been a lot of incidents, so just keeping it in this race has been paying dividends. Chris Newby here, currently up 1, very close to Josh Doty in front. Driver up the most spots is Steve Cubey, up 5. A driver that we absolutely expected to qualify up near the top, had a really strong practice time, and I think just wasn't able to nail a qualifying lap, but has taken advantage of these early laps to gain some positions.
How about that lap? Paletti just ran half a second faster than anyone else out on the track, so he is gearing up, I think, to put a move here on Daniel Real. He has put a second on Doty in the last lap.
You see this battle here for third between Paletti, Doty, Newby, and Garcia. Garcia has now actually taken himself into this conversation, just 0.3 back. Again, that disastrous start for Vahil, but with the red flag rules, able to get back into this race and compete at a high level here. He's trying to make his way into the top 5.
Yeah, I think Vahil just had a kind of an off qualifying session there, but he is really making up for it. Already up 2 spots, and I think has the pace to possibly get on the podium here. He is very quick, sizing up Christopher Newby here.
Vahil came into this race in the A-class already, was the 6th place driver with 43 points, so looking to try to maybe make some moves up the field here. Of course, Will Borland not here, so that's going to be one driver that he should overtake just by participating. Some wide cars there in turn 9.
As we see the lap times come through for the top 3, it looks like Paletti puts in a good lap, but not as good as Ken Huber. Ken Huber stretches the gap a little bit there.
Yeah, quite similar from those guys at the top. A lot of 25s in that top section, kind of falling back to 26s there. But the field spread as far as pace is so low. I mean, the only reason that there's gaps between drivers right now is just from mistakes, because the actual pace, these drivers are so close to each other.
Yeah, as we see Paletti continuing to get closer to Daniel Real. Paletti and Doty are the only 2 drivers in the field still at 0 incidents, so already the incidents are racking up for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely valuable as we come down the stretch of the season for sure. We're still early days, but those safety points are going to be big. That looks like a slight lockup from Daniel Real there, just a hint of one. You saw some white smoke probably from that front left.
Yeah, I think so.
Paletti trying to
he's
chase
just
him
trying
down. No passing opportunities in these next couple corners, however. Oh, Steve Cubet may have just had an incident here. He's dropping positions down that board.
He's off. Oh, man.
Oh, dramatic spin there. Not a spot that you typically see drivers lose it. Luckily, no damage, able to get back going. Hopefully, safe rejoin there. Yeah, looks good, but losing 5 or 6 spots there, I think.
Yeah, good recovery for him. He lost at the same spot Tony did, and ironically, now Tony and him are right next to each other, so we'll see if that turns into a battle there. As we see something happen
Is
to
Ken Huber actually out? I do not see an incident anywhere.
No.
And he may not be in the session at all. His car's not. I don't see his car. There may have been a disconnect of some kind.
It looks like his internet quality has dropped below the acceptable amount. We'll see if he's able to reconnect here before it drops him out of the session.
Wow, huge lead that he had. Now all of a sudden, this fight for first is all sub 1 second gaps from first back to fifth. Real, Paletti, Doty, Newby, and Garcia. Huber had the lead locked, but unfortunate issues, technical issues on his end, and now it's all up for grabs here.
Yeah, it looks like Huber has officially been dropped from the session, so no reconnecting there, unfortunately for him. I mean, he can reconnect now, but the win for this race is off the cards as we see Paletti sizing up Daniel Rioux for the lead here now.
Paletti absolutely every lap here looking faster in Roush and Verth, but those are not passing opportunities. Probably the frustration for him right now is feeling that he's fast in the wrong spots of the track.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. As we see John Kelly just got around his teammate Jeff McDonald for 12th.
Replay there. He said here's John Kelly making the move. They're very close, and McDonald gives him the room. I think he knew that he had the pace on him there.
Yeah, that's good teammate racing. Heads up driving there by Jeff.
Real, for the first time in 4 laps there, was faster than Paletti behind. However, they're so close, almost couldn't afford to be any slower.
Yeah. Just looking here. Christopher Newby is definitely thinking about a move, but it's just not quite close enough yet. But these 4 drivers now are within 1.5 seconds of each other, and it's anybody's race at this point.
Yeah, we still have a lot to think about. Again, pit strategy, from what I was hearing, they can go about 21 laps on fuel. So the absolute earliest we should expect drivers to come in is lap 15. That would be really risking it. So still, no drivers can really come in without having to pit another time. So we'll keep an eye on that. If anybody wants to go early tactically, try and make their way around this gaggle here, any of these guys could make that call.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anyone does decide to be a little bit more bold. Like maybe Paletti right now thinks about maybe an undercut, try to get some clean racetrack. However, if he does pit, where does that leave him when he comes out? It's hard to make that call when you're behind the wheel and don't have anyone watching you and spotting for you, get you out in the clean racetrack.
Yeah, yet again there, you can see that actually that time Real pulling away. Sorry, I was reading that wrong there. Real pulling away in Sector 2, typically the sector where Paletti's catching up. That looked like a much better exit for Paletti. He may have a chance coming down into Remus here. This is a long straight. He's going to try to grab some toe.
This is his best shot yet.
He's pulling out to the right. He's going to be able to go deep on the brakes. He's been strong on the brakes so far this race. It looks pretty much dead even. Oh, that was I can't believe Real's car stuck to the ground there.
Rio. That was incredible, and the grip he had coming off that corner was just incredible.
I was sure that he was going too deep there. I can't believe that he was actually able to keep that second. And not only that, but with that defense, able to get himself a little bit of breathing room and put Paletti back into the clutches of Doty, at least a little bit there. You can see Garcia all over the back of Newby, though, for that 5th place position.
If we don't think Paletti was pushing before, he is now. He has picked up 4 incidents in the last 2 laps. So he is said caution to the wind. He is going for this win. He does not care about the safety points anymore.
Ooh, what's happened there? Steven Thompson, was that? Yeah, look, Steven Thompson just lost 4 or 5 positions there.
Steven Thompson lost it in the same spot that Tony and Cubet lost it in. Very easy part, it looks like, that people are losing it in tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to even get called a loss of control or off track or anything on my screen. He's still struggling, loses another spot, although, let's see, I think, yeah, he has got back going again, so trying to claw back maybe those positions, going a little bit wide there in that corner.
Your tires are just a little overheated after that spin. It's ironic. The three guys that have spun out, Steve Cubey, Tony Watson, and Steven Thompson in that corner.
Oh, look at that exit.
Here.
Great exit by Paul Boyle. He's going to have the position on Kevin Berquist going. I think he's already got, he's got a nose ahead already. He's going to have that position going down into Remus. That was a great exit for him there. It looks like Berquist struggling just a little bit on the outside.
I think Kevin just wisely backed out of that. And I'll tell you who's actually very quick out there right now. Mark Dillon, although he goes off there, Mark is actually slowly clawing his way up through the field here.
You can see there back there, Dillon and Berquist trading lap times. Through the last few, Berquist was slower by 0.4, and we'll see it. Certainly, Dillon, especially after Berquist let Boyle go through, Dillon has been faster on this lap for sure.
Yeah, nothing too much happening up front right now. Each car is evenly spaced about half a second apart from each other, so nothing really going on right there. I'm wondering if they're just kind of settling in till that first pit stop. I think the pit stops are really going to be what mixes up that front five.
Yeah, we're looking at minimum 4 more laps until that point, although, of course, you want to go farther than that to make it safer. I mean, I have to imagine, how are we looking? Well, actually, Nicholas Plays now brought that down to just under 0.3, and that's going to grow just a little bit as they go through turn 1. Yeah, it just looks like it's pretty much stock standard for these guys right now. No one really pulling out to try to make a move.
No, it seems like if Paletti gets a good run through a corner, then the guy in front of him doesn't, and then it kind of just balances themselves out the next corner. Although Doty is all over Paletti right now. Got a very good exit there.
There's Doty's view of Nicholas Paletti's car in front. Certainly not looking to make an aggressive move, trying to stay quick, and you can see actually right there, Doty almost subject to some bad aero understeer there as he got real close to the back of Paletti's car.
Yeah, it just seemed to push out. It's almost like the old F1 cars. You just can't follow super close right now. I don't know if that could be that the tires are worn or what, but it's interesting. They're not following as close as what they once were.
Yeah, at the very least, you don't want to be doing it in the middle of the corner, be as close as he was there. Probably felt that effect for sure, and we saw what happened to a couple drivers already. They just abusing track limits.
Paletti's got a huge run here. He abused the track limits there a little bit to get the run off the corner, and he has got a great run going into turn 1.
Paletti here already a nose ahead into turn 1. He's on the inside, and he's going to not seal off the position. Fight back from Dan Real on the outside. Oh, they touch. He gets into the grass. Both drivers make it out alive, but now Josh Doty's been brought into the picture as well.
Yeah, that side draft is so critical as we hear an apology come over, but it's just hard racing right now as we see double falls.
2x2 into Remus. Lock up by, I think that was Christopher Newby locking up. Now Garcia has taken his position.
Yeah, this is getting interesting now as we see Daniel Rios still on the outside here. We'll see if he can hold the position.
It's really hard to hold the outside in this corner. Let's see if he's able to do it.
But he goes wide.
Oh, unlucky to avoid an incident there from Real. Leia lock up by Paletti as he was just trying to go deep on the brakes, but keeps that first place position.
Heads up driving there by Daniel, though, to realize that Paletti was not going to make that corner side by side and avoided an incident there. So good job on him.
Gets a little bit neutralized through these corners. Let's take a look at that incident again coming here. This is Paletti's point of view coming down into Schlossgold, just desperately trying to keep it.
Huge lockup by Paletti there.
Luckily, these are pretty hardy tires. Shouldn't do anything to damage them, but that is a run there for Vihil on the exit. He's pulling off the side. Yeah, yep. That was too much of a run.
And there goes a newbie around him again.
Back to the order they were, with the exception of Paletti. Oh, and there's Newby losing it. Oh, he gets, wow, what a save.
Wow, what a save. And Daniel Riel has a little bit of a run here on Paletti. I don't know if he's going to back off.
Oh, Newby's so lucky to be going forward again, but is out of that battle up at the front now.
Yeah, Daniel Riel kind of just did a dummy move on there on Paletti to see if Paletti would give him any room, and Paletti didn't fall for it, so they stay nose to tail here, 1 and 2.
Oh, that is deep on the brakes by Dan Real there. looking a little more confident. Wonder if Paletti's maybe having a little bit of tire temperature issues right now after that lockup, and maybe one other that we didn't see. But it could just be strong performance on the brakes in this lap here by Real.
Yeah, to me it looks like Real's definitely more confident in the braking zones, but Paletti is getting the run off, which is typical. I mean, so it kind of evens itself out here.
A couple laps ago, Boyle was out of it for the top 5, but with that minor mistake from Chris Newby, Boyle now has that chance to pounce and get into the top 5 here if he's able to make that pass.
Yeah, with Newby's incident in turn 1, Boyle has that chance, although it looks like Newby might have a tiny bit more pace than him right now. We'll see as they kind of get neutralized for right now.
Purple lap up front for Paletti as he tries to pull away, although it was not much faster than Daniel Real. Very close between the two, but still fastest lap of the event so far. Paul Boyle keeping it close, not able to make that move. Steve Cubay, as Mark Dillon Jr. just went off track.
Yeah, there's an incident. Oh, poor Mark. Loses it in turn 1 there.
Yeah, we caught it late there. My assumption is that probably a hefty whack on that curb there.
You nailed it perfectly. It was the curb. I mean, that'll get you.
Paul Boyle trying to make a move. He's closed it down to a 10th and a half. That is too close. Lock up again as he narrowly avoids Newby. I could have told you that was too close into the braking zone there, just from what we've seen from the other cars.
Those Doge Squad cars seem to have really big issues with the brake. As we see, Barnett has had an incident in turn 1.
Let's check this here. Barnett coming. This is this is coming into turn 3 here, actually. Just late in the brakes, looks like.
It's easy to do that in these cars.
Stephen Thompson, further back in the field, has been behind Tony Watson for a number of laps now. Had that off track, was able to rejoin right behind Tony Watson with no damage, but has not been able to actually make that pass and get him around. I'm actually surprised as Mark Dillon Jr. there comes into the pits. Obviously, I think he may have tapped his rear wing on the wall. However, this is in, it's tentative, but this is in pit strategy here.
Yeah, he's the first one to make the pit stop, so we'll kind of see, you know, what kind of pit time we're looking at here. Just something to report, the lowest incident count for any driver now is 2, so no one at 0 anymore.
Lockup by Tony Watson there into Remus. Very light lockup on that front right tire. Zach Nuremberger just made the move on Jeff McDonald. Nuremberger recovering for, and Adrian Garcia just had a big incident.
Oh, that's a big one, and he's trying to rejoin safely here.
Oh, just massive understeer as the tires are starting to lose their grip, and dramatic re-entry onto the track there, unfortunately.
Yeah, he lost a lot of time with that, unfortunately. It's back to 12th place now. We'll look to probably just try to get into that top 10 for the inversion now at this point.
It's been a real up and down race for Vihil. Hopefully he can kind of smooth it out and have a positive performance in the sprint race. That is a purple time by Daniel Real. However, it was by 2 thousandths. 2 thousandths faster than Nicholas Paletti's lap. So fastest on track, but that's not enough to make the pass.
No, they're slowly leaving Doty in the dust here too. So looks like it's becoming a 2-car race unless something major happens here. They get racing side by side.
Yeah, and actually Real falling away on this lap here. He's actually almost broken the 1 second. He has now fallen 1 second back. Doty now closer to Real than Real is to Paletti. I don't know what's happened on this for just first half of the lap. You see 2/10 slower for Real in sector 1. Oh, what a save. And Doty's going to make the move. He's on the outside. He's already got the big move made. He's ahead. Doty into second place.
Yeah, that gives Paletti quite a bit of breathing room now. So pressure's off for a little bit. He can kind of just coast these tires into the pit stop now.
Real only losing about a second in that, but couldn't really afford to even lose that much with how close everyone was.
It's unfortunate. It looks like we actually have a very good battle right now. Oh, Stephen Thompson!
Oh!
I was just about to say we have a very good battle for 10th, but that is no longer on the cards, unfortunately.
Oh, he got spooked.
Oh, yeah, that's hard. I mean, you have to hit the brakes in that instance, and unfortunately, if you hit him just a little too hard, it just sends the car around.
Yeah, I think that what happened there, I think Tony Watson was willing to give him the room, actually, to battle there, so he was a little slow through that corner, as Paul Boyle just made the move on Newbie.
Yeah, Boyle's looking a lot stronger here. I wonder if
very slow for Newbie there. Yeah, he's totally off the gas.
Lap times are pretty comparable to what Paletti's running right now. He's one of the quicker cars out there. Be interesting to see if he can close some of that gap to the leaders.
But yeah, to just touch on that Thompson Watson there, I think that Watson was actually open to giving him the racing room there, despite that not being a typical racing spot. Slowed down. Thompson just wasn't expecting. I think Thompson was just trying to follow him through, and just a slight panic, and that's all that you need when you're in the middle of a turn to lose control.
Yeah, absolutely. That's unfortunate, but didn't lose a whole lot of time and can try to bounce back and get into that inversion zone.
Yeah, again, top 10 will be changed. So he's currently 6.7 seconds back from Adrian Garcia, but there is a lot that can happen. We are just over halfway through this race, lap 19 of 36. In the pit strategy here.
Up in the ante here, Doty just ran a little bit faster than a 10 than Poletti that lap. So Doty can start stringing some of these laps together here. He could be challenging Poletti here not too long.
Mark Dillon Jr. went into the pits and is still in there. However, John Kelly may be our first driver to be making a pit stop for Ernest Strategy, and we'll see how that pays off for him. He only lost a few spots from that pit, actually, too.
Yeah, that was a good call. We'll see what happens.
Let's see. Trying to get an idea of the pit lane time here. John Kelly still on pit exit. Let's see. So we have an idea of how long that stop's going to be. 42.5 seconds. So 42 seconds as he just loses that position to Nürnberger on pit exit is what we can expect for how long it's going to take these drivers to pit for this one pit they need to do.
Yeah, Nürnberger was 2 seconds faster than Kelly there. So I'm wondering if Nürnberger did some tire strategy, maybe no tires or something.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, some of these guys, but Nürnberger had an incident early. May just
Daniel
be trying.
Real is in.
Interesting. Okay,
one
so
of the front runners is finally coming in, so this will be interesting to see how this sorts out.
And at the same time, Poletti puts in another purple lap. So the drivers continue to speed up. I mean, I don't think the tires are right now an issue.
Yeah, you have to think they're probably getting low on fuel, so more grip out there as Adrian also comes in as well.
Yeah, they should only be able to go one more lap. That's from what I was hearing was 21 lap. I was hearing you could do 22 maybe if you stretch it.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, lockup ahead.
Wow.
Big lockup.
That's Daniel Barnett. Good job to recover that. But
yeah.
That's not what Bob Boyle wants to see right now.
And luckily, not impeding the drivers behind. Stephen Thompson is right on De Real. Wasn't able to be strong enough on the brakes there. Again, Real just came out of the pits, so I doubt Thompson will be trying to fight him too hard. He knows this is not for the same strategy position here. But Newbie and Boyle absolutely are, and they were just 2/10 apart coming into that corner. They're both past Barnett now. Kevin Berquist now making his way through, and they're back on to racing again.
Keeping our eyes on the leaders, Poletti stays out. So he's going another lap, and so is Doty. So it looks like they have enough fuel in the tank to go another lap.
Yeah, I think 21 was a safe number, and 22 was a real push. Although you have to consider, of course, that they were. What in the world just happened there?
Oh my goodness, that's a horrible crash.
Who was that?
Daniel Barnett has just clobbered the wall. There might have been some contact there. We might want to take a look at that.
Let's see here. Coming into Rent here. Now coming into Red Bull Mobile. Goes wide. I think that was just a give up there.
Either a give up or wheel disconnect, one of the two.
Yeah, potentially. I just wonder if maybe there was an off track there that put him into the. Oh, and a spin by Newbie.
Oh, that is not going to help him with his strategy.
I just wonder if there was an off track there that maybe put him in the drive-through range, and that
he actually got a run on Paul going into the corner and just lost it. We might want to take a look at that if we have that, because there was a little bit of contact.
Fortunately, Newbie here. Yeah, I do have that. So, see from Newbie's perspective here. Coming down into Remus.
The braking zone. He gets a huge run on the brakes here, and just lightly taps Boyle, which sends him around.
Yep, that's all that was needed. These cars can be like a top when they start to slow down like that, when they're under load, and that's all that was needed to spin them out, unfortunately.
And the master fuel saver, Paletti, stays out, so he's going an extra lap. But Doty coming in, Boyle stays out, and so does Bergquist.
Yeah, good number of drivers able to take it to 22, but it's not really 22 because they were in the pits at the end of lap 1. So I guess actually 23 laps is what we might expect as the absolute maximum that these, because surely they were picking up fuel while they were in their boxes there during that red flag.
Absolutely. So the gap was around 2 to 3 seconds with Paletti and Doty. So we'll see what that looks like here once the pit cycle completes.
As it looks right now, again, Paletti is first. We estimate around 40 seconds for a pit loss. And I don't, well, if that's, that can't possibly be true because Real's only 30 seconds behind right now. So there must be something we're not picking up right here.
Yeah, the pit timer is definitely not looking correct tonight for a lot of these drivers.
Well, I guess that does make sense because the pit lane time does it's not the that was the amount of time spent in the pit lane, and that would include, they're still making their way around the track.
Yeah, Paletti goes another lap, and Boyle as well. So they're really stretching it. This is good strategy here. The longer they can go, the less time they have to spend in the pits refueling.
Yeah, actually, not a lot of guys coming in, with the exception of Tony Watson. It looks like. On this lap specifically. So anybody who was looking to try to stretch the field a little bit has been able to do that, at least from what it looks like.
Yeah, we see Paletti jump into the 24s. First driver into the 24s tonight. So he is just continuing to inch that gap, and it's looking very strong right now for this overcut.
Tony Watson here, as he just made his pit on this lap. See here, it's not the easiest pit exit. You really want to try to get on that gas as he touches the wall actually on pit exit.
He gets a little damage from the wall there. Hopefully that won't affect too much for him.
He's going to come out in 7th position with Zach Nuremberger closing 4 seconds down to 3 seconds now behind.
Yeah, so I think we'll be looking to see the leaders come in this lap now. I don't think they can go any further than this. Yeah. Especially with Paletti, as hard as he's been pushing. Yep, here he comes into the pits. So just don't want to get busted for speeding here, and he really, really has to brake to get it under the speed limit. That was very close for him.
Yeah, no lockups there, and drivers behind who had not come in yet. Paul Boyle, Kevin Bergquist, Chris Newby, all of these drivers coming in for that pit stop. I don't think that 25 or going through 24 was going to be possible for any of these drivers. Paletti already out, obviously no tires.
Doty rounding the last corner here, so he's going to be a considerable number back from Paletti. So it looks like Paletti was able to stretch the gap through the pit cycle. No
tires for anybody visible there from those guys in those top few positions that were coming in for their stop.
Yeah, it looks like the gap now is 7 seconds, so has a very nice cushion on Doty. But I'll tell you who's close right now for third, the last podium spot, Daniel Riehl and Paul Boyle.
Paul Boyle trying to get those tires back in the window as he probably cooled them down just a little bit during that pit stop. Of course, did not take new tires, but I don't think really anybody did. It's not really the strategy call, not a high tire wear circuit in general, at least.
No, not at all, but through that cycle, he just had, it looked like a little bit better of an entry and exit and was able to close more of that gap on Daniel Riehl. As we see something happen to Josh Doty, he is off.
Josh Doty going wide there, understeering into Schlossgold. He's going to lose the spot to Daniel Rial. He's going to lose the spot to Paul Boyle. He's going to be in fourth. He's going to have to try to fight back to get onto those podium spots now.
Yeah, it looks like we got a really strong...
Oh, that is a
Daniel
big
Rial.
off by Daniel Rial there. Gets
Man,
back
no one wants
going.
to finish second. Everyone's just crashing out.
Allergic to the second place spot. Paul Boyle, after just narrowly qualifying into A class, has now moved his way into second place.
Yeah, and it looks like Doty definitely has more pace right now than Boyle, so we'll see how long Boyle can hold him off here as we see them coming through. I think Doty might be able to put a move here coming up into turn 3. We'll see how turn 1 goes. As Daniel Rial, unfortunately, has to come into the pits, so I don't know if he got damage from that or something, but that's real unfortunate.
Yeah, that's actually surprising to see. I didn't see any collision with other cars, and he just went into the sand, so surprising development there. However, unless that had something to do with his wheel that plagued him all of last season in E4A, I guess we can see if that's the case. Let's try to get an onboard with him here.
Oh, he catches the curb there. Does he hit anything? No. I wonder if something happens after he gets back on.
I don't think so. Strange
Very
call.
interesting. Maybe he just didn't like how heated those tires were. I know when you spin these cars, those tires become quite undrivable for a while.
Yeah, very easy to make another mistake. And we'll catch that incident real quick also from Josh Doty. This was what when he went off track in Remus, really deep there.
You know, trying everything to catch Paletti, but unfortunately just overstepped the boundaries of the car there a little bit on those cold tires. Or I guess not really cold tires, but not optimum temperature tires, I should say.
Yeah, they got some age to them, and they're a little bit cooler. Nürnberger here trying to make the pass on Watson. Oh, and a spin by Watson. Does not collect anybody. He's in the middle of the track, though. He's got back going again.
That's really big because Daniel Rial is right on the cutoff for the inversion there, so that'll give him a little bit of cushion.
Watson, no choice, I guess, but to come in for the pits. He'd spun into the pit lane. I imagine he's just going to drive through here. Jeff McDonald now is the guy in 10th on that reverse grid pole, so has churned through some spots here late in this race by not having any big incidents, and may find himself on the front row in our sprint race.
Yep, and Tony just passes through the pit lane, gets some ice cream, and he's back in the race.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate result of that spin to go into that lane, because we lost a lot of time. Leonardo Lajcik into the pit lane. I don't know if that is from some damage that we didn't catch potentially.
Yeah, we actually have 6 drivers out right now. Adrian Garcia, Daniel Barnett, Mark Dillon Jr., Ken Hubert, Terry Calgar Jr., and Richard Curry. So, a lot of attrition tonight in this race. 3 cars still running like the 19 that started.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. A lot of them have not actually been damaged even, which is is probably the strangest thing. And we haven't had too many collisions between drivers even, but just enough of frustration, I guess. There is Elijah, though, returning to the track, but is unfortunately a lap down. We saw him get collected in that early incident after the restart with Terry Calgar Jr. down there on the exit of Remus.
I'll tell you, I mean, with the amount of incidents that have happened, if Leonardo keeps it on the track, I mean, anything's possible. He might be able to pull off a 10th here, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, still plenty of racing to go. Just under 10 laps of racing, and Nicholas Paletti has a very strong lead there, 11 seconds, but second place is certainly more up for grabs right now between these two of Paul Boyle and Josh Doty, but Kevin Bergquist is really not that far behind if anything happens here.
Yeah, just to note something here with the incident count, we have a lot of drivers over the 10 mark. Paul Boyle is at 11, Christopher Newby 12, Daniel Rial 16, Tony Watson 18, so those drivers won't be getting any bonus points for this event. And we have quite a few drivers that are about to go over the 5 threshold, John Kelly, Zach Nürnberger, and Josh Doty. So not many bonus points coming out of tonight's race, it looks like.
The drivers that from that first event that had the most safety points in that race, and that is Josh Doty he's on the outside of Paul Boyle already.
Whoa.
Huge exit there into turn one. He's got the much preferable line, and Paul Boyle's kind of gonna back out of it and just try to fight through later in the lap.
He's got the run though back on him here, so this will be interesting to see if he decides to put a move on him or not. If he's confident on the braking, he definitely has the speed here, and he's going to the outside.
Going to the outside, interesting call. Doty taking the inside there, and it's not going to work, I don't think, for him.
That was a very conservative move there, just being smart, I think. As we see, Steve Cube has gone around, running 12th, so this is it going through those fast bits there.
Oh, big lockup for Doty all the way through that corner, but looks like he was not too affected, at least on his racing line, but that may do some tire heating. That was a long lockup he had on that front right.
Yeah, it looks like last lap Doty was 7/10 quicker than Paul, so if that's a consistent theme here, he should be pulling away here pretty quickly.
Let's see if that's what ends up happening between them. Right now, Stephen Thompson is also keeping it close with Zach Nuremberger. Both these guys have had a couple incidents earlier in this race. Both guys, two of the top three positions in the B class standings. Zach Nuremberger 4th overall, 1st in B class. Stephen Thompson 9th overall and 3rd in B class, with Steve Cube the driver between, and Cube's back there in 12th right now. So these two drivers trying to extend the success that they've had so far in B class and put themselves strongly up there. Again, they only got one more race to qualify into A after this.
Yeah, they were one of the two of the three fuel-saving kings last week, so good bounce back from both of them. They've had quite a few incidents in this race, so good to see them up in 6th and 7th. And I'm sure they'll be contending for the win in the second race here.
Yeah, right now Nuremberger is up 5 spots, Thompson up 3, and it looks like he's going to try to make that 4. Much better exit than Nuremberger through that corner. He's just trying to eat some draft here before they get to that. I think Nuremberger's probably not going to fight him too hard. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
he is.
Now, will Thompson get the crossover here?
Not trying to even attempt it, it doesn't look like.
I think Thompson will probably just sit here a little bit if he can follow close enough to get the run.
Following close enough it was the problem before.
Yeah, you just can't follow too close in these cars, and I'll tell you who it's bringing into this battle here. John Kelly in 8th is closing on both of these guys, so if they keep this up, I mean, John will be a factor here before too long.
Yeah, Kelly had dropped it down to just 1.5 seconds there. Most of it's been 2 seconds around there, and closed up as there was not really even a battle, just some traffic, I guess, between those two cars.
Yeah, I think this battle here for 6th place is going to go down to the wire with these three drivers. I think they're just going to keep constantining and getting closer together here. So we see Zach goes a little wide. Stephen Thompson gets a little loose off the corner there. Not going to have enough of a run going down into turn 3.
Yeah, just barely eating into that gap there. Just now breaking 0.3, but you got to be pretty far up alongside that. Oh, and that's deep by Nuremberger, but Thompson not all that fast through the corner, but still has that advantage. He's a nose ahead at least, but it doesn't look like he's that much faster. Nuremberger's going to actually pull back in for some more draft maybe.
He's going to go back.
He's going to go back for the inside. Deep brakes for Nuremberger.
He's going down.
They touch, slight touch, a little bit of door bang, and he backs out of it. Thompson takes the spot.
John Kelly's got the speed now, so yeah, this brings him into this battle.
John Kelly thought about a move just for a second there, decided not to make one.
All the while, Kevin Bergquist in 4th is loving this. He's just continuing to stretch his B-class win.
Yeah, Bergquist having a great race here. Doing really well up at the front of the B-class, nearly in the overall podium even.
Yeah, nothing happening too much right now between Boyle and Doty. The gap's kind of staying the same. I don't know if Boyle's just kind of cooling his stuff off before he tries for another move.
I don't think that Doty's really going all that slow for sure, though. The gap between him and Paletti has not grown either, so he's keeping up with the leader, just not really catching him.
Yeah, John Kelly gets a little bit of the curb there, holds on to it. That looked a little sketch there.
Yeah, both drivers looked a little sketch going through that corner at different points there, both making it through, but neither having an advantage on the other.
Yeah, and it looks like Kelly's just a little bit more confident on the brakes. Oh!
John Kelly staying there at that 4/10 mark, was not able to make a move into those last couple braking zones. Won't be able to make a move here, but maybe just trying to force Nürburgring to make a mistake. Still have 5 laps to go, so a lot of opportunities for him, but it's always nice when you can make the driver in front do the pass for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing right now. Got to minimize the mistakes, and I feel like almost every driver in the field has had some sort of mistake here tonight that's really hurt them. Except the leader, Poletti, who's just kind of been consistent and putting in good laps. As we see, it looks like Doty puts in a really good strong lap there. Cuts the gap a little bit to Poletti, but not enough to close it in time.
That, and of course, Ken Huber, the only mistake of, unfortunately, not having reliable internet.
Yeah, I hope he comes back for the second one. That would be really nice, but it looks like he might have actually put it on the hauler for both races, so that's unfortunate.
Much deeper on the brakes by Kelly. He had to slow down a lot coming into that corner, though, so that momentum kind of slows down. We'll see if he's able to make a move. Nürburgring happy to take the inside here coming into the corner.
Yep, there he goes. Going to the outside. Oh, and Jeff McDonald has crashed in 10th place. If he can't get going, that's going to move Tony Watson up.
And McDonald has had an issue, but he has not lost the spot. He's continuing to fall away 9 seconds, 8 seconds behind Tony Watson, but I think he may have got going again. Keeping an eye on this battle here, though, between Kelly and Nürburgring. Nürburgring staying ahead into this corner.
Oh, but he just didn't have the grip to do it.
He's going to stay ahead, Nürburgring here. So let's see what happened to Jeff McDonald into turn 1.
Common theme here.
Very similar to the incident that we saw from Christopher Newby earlier in this race.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point now where the track's getting a little bit warmer, I think, and unfortunately the tires just aren't there anymore, especially if none of these drivers have been taking tires on the stops.
Yeah, it didn't look like it there for Nürburgring as he goes around the final corner, as he struggled to stay within track limits there. Weaving on the straight, trying to break a little bit of the toe. Not close enough for Kelly to make a move, but if he has a better exit through here. He has a better exit.
Oh, he had to brake. He had to brake. That killed his momentum. To avoid a contact with Zach there. He had a huge run. Contact. Some side draft contact there.
Not the first time we've seen it. And
Nürburgring's
going to keep the lead here. It looks like he was about equal on the exit to Kelly here. He's going to try to close off the inside. Smart move on the defense, because the inside is the preferable line here. We have not seen many people make the pass happen on the outside here into the final corner in this corner.
John Kelly's going to hold it on the outside. Not quite. Not enough grip.
Yeah, it doesn't work out there. I don't think we've even seen a single successful pass on the outside of that corner. A very smart move of Nürburgring to move over as soon as he could, knowing that Kelly was going to start to creep up on him and he wasn't going to have that opportunity to make that inside defense.
Yeah, and now what John's got to do is he's just got to get through these last few corners and sectors here and then set him up again for turn 3. So we'll see what he's got. As we see, the leader gap is continuing to shrink. Very small, minute changes there, but showing that Doty does have the pace, and I think that's going to be a very interesting battle to watch Poletti and Doty come through the field next race from 9th and 10th.
Yeah, both drivers up 3 from where they started, so it didn't exactly start on the front row, but have had some fortune from some drivers in front of them, but also have made some on-track passes for sure. John Kelly trying to make an on-track pass himself. Again, will not be close enough to send it, but close enough to get real close under the brakes. A little bit of a lockup there, I think.
Oh, he almost had a really good run off that corner there. I don't know if he'll have enough speed now to set him up here or not.
Nürburgring certainly going to try to take that inside again. Again, make Kelly try to pass him on the outside. It's a tough ask. As long as Nürburgring gets it slowed down.
He's going for the cutover. not quite.
Aggressive seal-off by Nürnberger. He's going to stay ahead, and he's going to be able to move back across also coming into this corner here.
I think Kelly's just testing it out because he's got like 2 or 3 laps left to get this done. And I think, you know, if he can get the crossover to work through there, I think that's his best move.
Yeah, Kelly doesn't have to worry about driver behind. He's got 7 seconds behind. Doesn't have to think about trying to get the next spot ahead because Nürnberger's 4 seconds back from Thompson. So this is the position. That's them fighting for 7th, 8th, and provided there's no wrecks here, these will be the positions, just who's in which spot.
And Belletti makes a small mistake, nothing major, but loses about half a second to Doty there. And the top 3 ran almost identical lap times last lap. So the cream is rising to the top here.
Strong exit there for Nürnberger. Has had a couple bad exits there in turn 1, but that one was strong. Looks like he's going to be able to take a little bit of a breather maybe on this lap, and maybe lap 36 will be the best opportunity for John Kelly, but let's see what happens in this braking zone here.
Oh, Zach really almost spun out there. He is pushing it all he can right now to try to get a gap on John Kelly.
He's feeling confident enough that he's going to stay on the outside on the racing line here. Not worried about a send down the inside. So, yeah, that's the end of the major passing opportunities in this lap. If John Kelly wants that 7th place position, it's going to have to happen on the final lap as Belletti crosses line right now for the white flag. So has that 10-second advantage on Doty behind and will be finishing this final lap of the feature race.
Yeah, right on cue. As soon as the white flag came out, we had a bonfire in the pits. One of the cars that were sitting in there just blew up. So must have known that it was towards the end of the race there.
I think Mark Dillon Jr., he's been in the session in the car the whole time, and if you let him idle long enough, the engine will explode. Out of nowhere, Christopher Newby has closed up on Kevin Berquist here for 4th. We weren't even tracking this battle, and it's now down to 3/10 with one major passing opportunity coming up here.
Yeah, second quicker last lap than Berquist, so he is right there, although Berquist gets a huge run off that corner. I think he's going to be safe now. Yeah, it was a little bit of an aggressive entry there for Newby, and I think that may have quelled any opportunity there to make that move. Let's see if John Kelly has any opportunity. Oh, a little bit of a twitch, too, coming into the corner, and it doesn't. I don't know if the exit was enough. These cars just aren't driving great right now to make any bold moves, it looks like. As we see Belletti's rounding the last few corners here to take the victory here. And it looks like Kelly not able to make it happen there. Let's watch, though, as Belletti comes around the final corner here with a 10-second gap on driver behind. Wonderful win here. Will probably, as long as he has a good sprint race here, be taking the lead in the championship and gets the race win. Yeah, he's got a big ask, though. Starting, 10th in the feature, or in the sprint race, rather. I keep getting them mixed up. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep it clean in the pack there. So Chris Newby not able to make the pass on Kevin Berquist. John Kelly here does not look like he's going to be able to make the pass on Zach Nürnberger without a major mistake here in the final corner. And will not have that run into the final line. What a defense there for Nürnberger to keep that 7th place spot at the end of this race. And more importantly, those are the only 2 drivers that were able to stay under 5. They both had 5, so they'll get that extra bonus point for that. And McDonald will be getting the reverse grid pole position here as well. Yeah, that's big. I think Jeff was actually putting in some really solid lap times there at the end of the race. So if he can get a big enough gap, I mean, anything's on the cards for him. He could be looking at a victory in this second race. Yeah, his fast lap was a 25.3. That's up there. That is competitive with those guys at the front. So I think maybe just took him a second to get used to the car. Was not at the first event at Silverstone. So look for him to have a strong showing in this sprint race coming up here. In this warm-up period between, we will get to, like I said, unfortunately, can't hear from Will Borland. He's not here at this race. But we will get to hear from Zach Nürnberger, who is the race winner of the exciting, thrilling sprint race from last event. So if he is in the Discord, if we pull him in and get a couple questions. Hey, all right, Zach, you hear us in the booth here? Get me in the booth here, Zach. Can't hear from him right now.
So we'll give him get him back to the waiting room. We'll get back to him and give him a few seconds to get the tech issues worked out. But driver who finished 7th here today in this feature race in a great defense for that position, and looking to try to improve his position even more here in this sprint race.
Yeah, I mean, consistency is going to win you championships. And while 7th might not look super flashy, I think that's, a good start or I guess a good continuation of his start.
Let's try him out again and see. All right, Zach, you hear us now?
Yep, I got you.
Awesome. So again, we had some tech issues. Unfortunate, weren't able to speak to you after your win from last event at Silverstone. So a little bit of a throwback to the past here, just talking about that. You won that race with some unbelievable fuel strategy. Not only were you one of the few guys to be able to stretch it that far, but you actually made the pass on the final corner. What was going through your mind there? Could you see, a weakness from Paletti? Like, did you think that you were going to be able to get him in the final corner?
I knew that, talking with Stephen Thompson, one of my teammates, who actually had a really brilliant race going. I think he was 10, 12 seconds ahead of me before he crashed. And he was actually on the same strategy as I was. But a couple of us were talking, and we noticed that some of these guys weren't actually fuel saving at all, and some of them started a little bit late. So I knew I was good to go to the end. Those, they're all crafty guys, and I was just kind of hoping that, they just it was too little, too late, and I was confident that I'd be able to get it done. But of course, you just never know until those last couple corners if they're gonna sputter or not. So, it was just one of those. Fingers were crossed, and I thought there was a shot, and it all played out well.
Yeah, you obviously, you won the race overall, and as a B-class driver, narrowly avoided making your way into that A-class for that first event, and missed the cutoff again for this race, but still finished 7th place with really good defense there. Just to cross the times here, what was your experience in those last few laps as you were trying to fight off John Kelly there? Because that looked like some pretty stout defense.
Yeah, I don't know. These qualifying times, I'm close to the edge. It's getting those tires warmed up and fired up. But yeah, I didn't take tires. I think his pit stop was a little bit longer than mine. I'm not sure if he had to take more fuel or if he took tires. He was really good in the braking zones, just really quick. I don't know if he had extra grip or just more talent. But yeah, just trying to get that defense down in the turn 4 and keep him washed up in the dirty air. Unfortunately, Stephen Thompson just got away from me. We had a little bit of contact, but no damage. But yeah, I mean, I was just doing all I could to, with not a lot of grip, and just trying to keep him in the wash behind, and whatever happened happened.
All right, and with just one more question before you can get back to focusing for that sprint race, what did you learn there in that feature that you're gonna try to use for this sprint race coming up?
Just trying a few different, a couple different defensive lines and seeing how those work. There's a few different spots where you're kind of in between gears depending on the scenario. Yeah, and it's just like those little things. You're not coming in here and figuring out, oh, there's a corner that exists that didn't before. So yeah, I'm just trying to pick up on some of those little nuances. Where I can save fuel, where to keep the tires from spinning, and I think a lot of it too is just keeping your eyes on the guys around you and knowing what their weaknesses is. Everyone knows what they're capable of, but the more you can pay attention to Steven and Tony and these guys that you're battling, and you can kind of figure out where they're strong and weak. It'll help you out, especially in these shorter races where you gotta get on top of things a lot quicker.
Well, we wish you luck for this upcoming sprint race. You'll be starting pretty high, so good luck on that, and then congratulations on that win that you had in Silverstone a couple weeks ago.
Yep, thank you, and thanks for the job you guys are doing.
Thank you very much. That was Zach Nuremberger there, winner of our Silverstone sprint race. And, like I say, couldn't speak to Will Borland. We will be back in just a couple minutes as we get prepared for this sprint race, and we wait for the grading procedure. So be back in just a couple minutes. All right, and we are back here. As you can see, our results for that first heat. Just to go over them officially as they grid right now. Nicholas Paletti was the winner ahead of Josh Doty and Paul Boyle. Kevin Berquist coming in first for the B class, and Christopher Newby in fifth. Following them, Stephen Thompson, Zach Nuremberger, John Kelly, Dan Royale, Jeff McDonald, Steve Cubay, and Tony Watson, and Leonardo Elijah of the drivers who finished the race. Adrian Garcia Vigil, Daniel Burnett, Mark Dillon Jr., Ken Huber, Terry Kiger Jr., and Richard Curry, the drivers unable to complete the race. And I don't think that any of them are in this session either. But Jeff McDonald will be starting on pole here, and we'll see how he's able to do, as he had some real good late race pace. A little bit of rhyming there. And looked quite strong, so interested to see. This is a shorter gridding procedure. See the Jeff McDonald goes. That was a great start for Jeff McDonald.
Oh, but Daniel Reel cuts over in front of John Kelly. Does not give him even an opportunity.
No mistakes, clean through the field, no crashes. Everyone clean off the line.
Up in the back there. Oh,
Paul Boyle losing a spot. They're all over the place back there. They're like swarm of bees, 3 wide, 2 wide, looking like they're getting a little bit ordered, and no big mistakes there, no big crashes.
This is what happens with the reverse grids, as we see Stephen Thompson and Daniel Reel going at it for third.
John Kelly just ahead of Stephen Thompson into P3 there, and that is Dan Royale trying to make the move on Jeff McDonald for P1.
Big crash!
Oh, 52, the number 52 of Josh Doty back there. Oh, and that's Tony Watson.
Nuremberger. Oh, that's a big pileup. That's definitely going to be a red flag.
We see him start to slow down.
Oh, man. And that was what I was expecting. Turn 3 with the reverse grid. You have a lot of cars with different speeds coming through there. And it lends itself to that kind of incident.
So this was the first incident. Zach Nuremberger in turn 3 there. That's what had happened. He got on the curb, spun, and just the cars were, well, just too close to him, unfortunately, for that to happen. Let's check that again.
Those are some fast cars, too, that took out. So they'll get another chance here. And wow, it just
That's Newby.
on him.
That's Doty. And another driver nicked the back of Doty's car there as well. Tony Watson also getting spun into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge checkup from about, I think it was around 5th or 6th in turn 1 and then in turn 3. I thought that was going to honestly be where the incident was. Oh, and Nuremberger went really deep there. That might have been what really hurt him.
Obviously, nothing Newby could do to avoid that. Had no hand in that incident.
And you have to wonder if it's in these drivers' heads, you know, okay, you know, I'm going to push a little bit harder than what I normally would. And if we crash, you know, I'll get another chance. You have to think that's in the back of their heads a little bit here.
Yeah, it seems like that to a certain extent. A couple drivers getting lifted up on the jacks there.
Yes, we see someone coming back to the pits without a rear wing there, so he'll get that fixed.
Yeah, that's Chris Newby's car, I believe. Yeah, the 115 of Chris Newby. And I think they're all ready to get back going again. I don't think we're waiting because Tony Watson is back there in that 13th spot.
Looks like someone just jumped out of their car. Jeff McDonald got out of his car, but now he is back in. So, yeah, I think we're just waiting for one car that towed. I think Joshua Doty had to tow there. So, and what was interesting was Josh Doty had actually already gained, I believe, 3 spots at that point, and Paletti was still in 10th. So Doty was really distancing himself from Paletti there. So real unfortunate that all that ground he made up is all for naught now. As we see, Doty's car goes up on the jacks now to get his car serviced.
Yeah, so we are 4 races in and 4 red flags on the on the standing start. So back to a rolling start here, just like we had in the feature. Again, disregard the title of feature up there in iRacing features, just whatever the last heat is. This is the sprint race here, only 25 laps. It still will be a pit stop, even with this late or with this red flag kind of shortening the race by a lap, and it'll just be a bit of a splash and dash. We'll have to see. It will not be a Silverstone deal where someone's going to stretch it to the end. I'm calling it now. I don't think it's possible.
They're going to have to save 3 laps worth. I think that's just a little bit too far outside the window. Silverstone was about a lap and a half. So if they could do it here, I mean, they deserve a big old plaque. So I don't think that's going to happen.
So Jeff McDonald will be restarting this race at the line. We'll have to take a look and see how he starts it compared to Ken Huber. Ken Huber started it literally as late as he possibly could. I wonder if McDonald will try to do like what you had anticipated, was on the exit of that final corner of Red Bull Mobile. That's where you would expect it, at least.
Yeah, you would. Jeff, I think Jeff's probably going to go as soon as he wants to. I don't think he's going to wait. I think Jeff is really confident in what he's got here. Warming up those tires and going pretty quick around the track right now on this caution.
It's a bit of a fast-paced lap here for sure, but yeah, McDonald was speeding up through the entirety of that first heat, and probably just getting the grips, getting familiar with the car again, and we'll see how he does here at the start. But it wouldn't surprise me if he continues to, improve even just through this heat here, this sprint race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Daniel has learned some valuable lessons though. He did this restart the first race, and it didn't work out for him. Huber really pulled away from him. I think he's more prepared this time, and I think we'll see him maybe mount a little bit of a charge here on Jeff once we go back racing.
Only time will tell, as Jeff is now coming around turn 9.
Yeah, and the other big thing, Daniel Riehl has 3 cars between him and the next A-class drivers, so Riehl might take this a little more conservatively just because of that gap he has.
Yeah, that's what you get from these reverse grids for sure, is you get some mix-up of the A and B classes.
And you see Riehl closing in now.
Very close for Nürnberger, trying to get that spot on Kelly.
And McDonald really waits. What in the world?
That was after the line, I think, actually, even.
They need to give that spot back.
Interesting there. I think that, a spin by too hard on the brakes by Nürnberger. Did that collect anybody?
No, he held on to it. That was incredible. I think he was just anticipating that start there. As we got Daniel Riehl on the outside of McDonald, we got an overtake here.
John Kelly trying to make his way into this battle as well. Real's going to stay ahead coming into the corner at least. And John Kelly's going to make his way through. John McDonald falling back to 3rd place now.
And we know John's got some really solid pace here. He doesn't want to let Daniel Riehl get away, because I think if Daniel can get a gap here, Daniel was very quick in the last race, and I think he'll be gone.
Very comfortable through that corner there. Real looks really on it and really comfortable in that 1st place spot, but John Kelly is giving him no space behind, but he's driving like he's not even there.
Yeah, nothing else really happening right now. Pretty processional through the rest of the field, so not a lot of overtakes. Poletti.
Wide there by Real, lucky to avoid the sand.
Oh, contact! Poletti and Kube. Poletti might have got an incident there. We're going off. And more contact. Tony gets into the back of Kube due to the checkup.
Yeah, you can hear that. All getting away without any major incidents, though, at least, as Real stays up here at the front. Jeff McDonald not really falling off too much from this group, I guess. But you do have to wonder if it's going to become a two.
Wow, that was
McDonald almost oh, no, John Kelly loses it. And that's Stephen Thompson. Oh, everybody. Josh Doty's. There's Paul Boyle in there, I think, as well. No, Paul Boyle made it through.
That's a parking lot right there. Poletti still can't get going. Oh, that's costly for a lot of those guys. And that just completely turns up the race now to who's going to be the overall winner, because all the fast guys just got taken out there.
Yeah, this is definitely putting all the points on their head. We'll take a look at that replay here. So John Kelly coming into turn 1. He's right behind Dan Real and just loses a little bit of aero, I think. Already losing it before he gets to that curb. Stephen Thompson's the first one hit. Josh Doty gets taken out. That's Nicholas Poletti there.
And at that point, you're a pinball machine, John Kelly did the best he could to hold his brakes there. And once you get hit once, you're just along for the ride. That's really unfortunate for a lot of those guys.
Here's Josh Doty from him.
Doty had made up a few spots. That's a really unfortunate. He was having a great run through the field.
Yeah, that car is toast. Him and that number 64 as well of Kevin Bergquist.
Yeah, and it looks like we got 3-car kind of breakaway out front. The podium has kind of separated themselves from the rest of the field. Nothing happening really right there. Oh, it's a crash.
He tried. So we now have 14th back out, 8th back is in the pit lane, only 7 drivers on the lead lap. So Mark Dillon Jr., who I think for a second maybe wasn't even planning on competing in this race, is now all the way up in 7th place.
Yeah, crazy enough. Look at Nürnberger. He's up to 6th. Had that incident in turn 1 that dropped him all the way back to 13th, and now boom, he's back in the thick of it.
I mean, if you're gonna crash, you know, crash there on that first lap so that you can have the red flag, because luckily that gets nullified, and unfortunately all those guys there that crashed on lap 4, just no solace for them. Nothing you can really do.
Nope. And we see John Kelly is the first driver to rejoin the track after having to come in for his damage. The other 3 drivers of Thompson, Bergquist, and Doty are in the pit still.
Well, actually, Paletti here, I think, is the leader of the. I think that Paletti and Boyle came in and just didn't have as much damage maybe as Kelly did, because they are ahead of John Kelly on the track here. But yeah, Thompson, Bergquist, Doty still in the pits as we speak. But right now,
yep.
Christopher Newby just, he had the purple lap, and he just set another purple lap, improving it by quite a lot into the 26.4 range, and has closed that gap to Jeff McDonald now to below a second.
And Jeff's closing the gap on Daniel Riehl. Daniel Riehl had a very uncharacteristically slow lap there. I don't know if something happened or if he went off, but it's brought Jeff back into this as well. As we see Jeff closing up even a little bit more here.
Didn't look like any major issue by Daniel Riehl there, but they continue to bunch up. And that car behind is the lapped car of Stephen Thompson, the car that's 1 second back there. So he is not for position there. He is in 11th right now.
Oh, yeah, look at this. McDonald has a huge run here. He's cut it down to 0.2 of a second.
Oh, you know, I was now, of course, being involved in the incident is certainly still plenty of a slowdown, enough of a slowdown. But for Paletti and Boyle, they may have a little bit of bonus by the fact that this was going to be a splash and dash race regardless. So they were going to have to make a pit stop anyway. I think that they should be in the strategy. It's just how much time they lost from the incident itself.
So it looks like Paletti did not pit, but Boyle did. So Boyle might be good to the end here.
Oh,
only a
interesting.
30-second gap to the leaders. So it looks like Boyle probably got a little bit of netcode damage there. That damaged his front wing. So he came in and did the pit stop, and he's gotten that out of the way. Zach has also come in. So I guess Zach believes he has enough fuel at this pit stop to make it to the end. So some very interesting strategies so far in this race.
Yeah, we saw 23 laps as the most in that feature race, or I guess 23 if you including the red flag. So surely he'll make it to the end here. Just interesting to call it early. Maybe had some traffic ahead as Jeff McDonald is struggling with Christopher Newby behind at the front. Christopher Newby had a purple lap for 3 laps in a row, but then Steve Cubay put in a really strong time into the 25s and has a 5 seconds ahead to Christopher Newby, but is the strongest or the fastest guy on track right now.
Yeah, that's an impressive time he just put in there, and he is closing down the top 3 here as we speak. And just to update everybody, it looks like Nürnberger came out of the pits 3 seconds ahead of Boyle. So those are the 2 drivers that are potentially good to go to the end. So something to keep an eye on with that battle as well.
Yeah, it must not have been horrible damage for Boyle to really only... I mean, Nürnberger was at the back of that and did have to check up for it, but made it through without getting involved in the incident at all. So Boyle must have had very minor damage and just getting it fixed regardless.
Yeah, and we only have 4 drivers under 5 or under incidents right now. So again, not a lot of bonus points to be had in this race. No one except Daniel Riehl at 0 right now.
Yeah, there's certainly a benefit you get to being up front, and he started in 2nd place and has kept it clean so far and keeping on track.
Deep dive there.
Oh, that was really close.
Keeps it under control.
I can't believe everyone made it through.
Yeah, that was really deep braking there by Jeff. If he could do more of that, he should easily get the overtake done here.
That was a purple sector 1 there for Newbie for the whole field as well. Newbie just all over the back of McDonald, but I mean, he can't really make that much of a move. He doesn't have the room when McDonald's trying to make the moves on Kelly in front as well. Or Ray Allen in front, sorry. A lot of yellow cars. We got to cut down on the yellow cars.
Yeah, we need some more green and purple.
Oh, look at that. Almost a sniff of a move for Newbie in absolutely the least passing zone section of this track, and just was almost close enough to try to stick a nose in coming down into turn 9 here in the Rent, and he's going to stay behind here at least.
Oh, yeah, Jeff, I think Jeff's got the better run through here. Yeah, he does. So he's setting Real up here for turn 3, I think a move here. Not close enough for turn 1.
Oh, McDonald sending it down the inside of turn 1.
Wow, man. You have to think maybe he should have waited there till turn 3 because now he is under attack from Newbie.
And look at that. Cubey was 5 seconds when I last mentioned it. It's now to 3.3. He just put in another fastest lap of the track. He may be in it for the race win here. Only 9 laps in, and he's so close to the lead right now. As look at that. Newbie stays ahead of McDonald.
1.3 seconds faster than our leader. If he keeps those laps up and those guys keep racing up there, he is in this, and he is looking like the strongest car on the track right now.
Yeah, they are racing plenty right now. You can even hear Newbie hitting that rev limiter a little bit. McDonald closing off the exit of that corner. Newbie on the outside. He's going to have to file back in, unfortunately.
Yep, and he's just got to back off a little bit through here. And we see Steven Thompson is in between right now, Newbie and Cubey, and you have to wonder if that's providing some benefit to Cubey with a tow.
Yeah, it's got to be a little frustrating for Thompson knowing that he has the wow, McDonald getting defensive actually coming in the Rent, but he's going to head back to there. But it must be frustrating for Thompson knowing he has the pace to hang with this group up here, but because of the incident is that lap down.
Yeah, it's real unfortunate. Like I said, a lot of really strong cars were taken out in that incident, and they won't be able to fight for the win here.
Cubey is now 1.7 seconds back. He was 6/10 faster than Newbie.
Newbie's got the run here, and here he goes. I think he might get it sealed this time, depending on how deep Jeff goes on the brakes.
Newbie on the inside of Jeff McDonald. Jeff McDonald staking on the outside. Let's see how they do on the brakes. Better on the brakes by McDonald. Newbie takes the lead.
But he's got it. He's got it.
Man,
Daniel Real, while this is going on, is just pulling a little bit of a gap on these two drivers.
I feel like he should be pulling ahead more than this, given how much squabbling as they squabble again. Now, oh, and that's collision. That's a collision.
That's it. Oh, watch out, Cubey.
Cubey narrowly avoiding that. Thompson avoiding that. And McDonald's got back going again. That was a bit of a close-up there, I think, by Newbie. I don't think he really gave Jeff McDonald the room on the inside there.
That's real unfortunate. Yeah, like you said, they weren't losing a lot of ground to Daniel, and I think they both had the pace to go challenge him. And I think, you know, it's just a little bit of an antsy move, but you know, you're running out of time, and you think you got to get the pass done here. And yeah, that's tough right there. Just not enough racing room for both drivers to get through that corner, unfortunately.
We can see here from a Newbie's perspective. Try this again.
You almost wonder if some netcode played a role in that too. It'd be interesting to see.
It did almost look like McDonald had already started to lose it regardless, but that was some serious pinching done by Newbie there for sure into that corner.
It makes you wonder if he thought that Jeff wasn't going to put the move on him there, but you gotta consider all your options. But
it did seem.
We see Cubey.
Yeah, Cubey's caught up a lot here. It did seem like he wasn't planning on the move initially, though. McDonald seemed like maybe he was just thinking of a dummy, and then was like, "Oh, actually, I think I can make this on the brakes."
Yeah, I couldn't believe how deep McDonald was getting on the brakes there. He was breaking the latest of any driver out there. But now we see Cubey really sizing up Newbie and possibly for a pass here shortly, as they both continue to reel in Real.
Yeah, if Cube is able to get around Newbie pretty quickly, only 4 seconds to Real in front is a pretty good sign given the pace that he's had. But I mean, only time will tell here. He was able to, Stephen Thompson made room for him in that incident and didn't have to get slowed down, making his way through that traffic there.
Just keeping an eye. Nothing happening too much back in the pack. A really solid bounce back for Tony Watson.
Cube put in a purple sector 3, but actually Stephen Thompson there was the one with the fastest lap on track. Sitting behind, one lap down behind this group. And Cube already pulling to the outside. He has an extra gear that these other guys don't have. He wasn't initially trying to plan to make the pass. He's going to try to slot back in, maybe make a move down into this corner 5.
He pitched that corner exit a little and kind of lost some speed there, so I don't think he'll be making a move here, but it does seem like he has a lot more speed in the straights and the toe than a lot of these other drivers that have.
Yeah, Newbie's still catching up to Real as well. Look at this grip that Cube has.
If Daniel Real, maybe he's not saving fuel, but maybe just saving his equipment. He knows he has a gap. Why push it? Why make a mistake? Just take it easy.
Oh, and that's wide by Newbie. That's got to be safe rejoining, and he's going to lose the spot. He's already lost the spot. Cube taking that. Look, maybe Newbie not going to lose too much with the dirty tires, though. It looks like he's actually already gotten back up to speed.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Cube wanted to see, because now he can start his charge on catching Daniel Real. I think that's very vital to his race there if he wants a shot at it. Oh, he went really wide.
That is really wide.
Slowdown? That is a slowdown. You'll have to give that time back. Now, how will he do that strategically? Oh, he takes it really
no.
Oh.
And rear wing is off of that car. He doesn't have to worry behind now. Steve Cube doesn't. Christopher Newbie is going to be coming into the pits. Luckily, needed to make the pit stop anyway, but this is going to be a harrowing drive to the pits with no rear wing on this car.
If he can make it back, that would be critical to his race, but that thing's going to be really undrivable right now. Oh, he is struggling big time as we see Tony Watson going for third here on him. You have to wonder if that Constantine, because of Cube having to bleed off that slowdown there, if that was just a little too much for Newbie and he just didn't expect that and kind of just lost it.
Yeah, that was an interesting incident. Well, let's check. Let's see that incident from his point of view here.
Cube's running out of time to bleed off that slowdown here. He takes the inside line here. Yeah, and I think it's just aero wash there that just causes Newbie to lose the car, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Cube was going a little slow through the apex as well, knowing that he had that thing to, or the penalty to bleed off, and I think it caught Newbie by surprise a little.
Kudos to Newbie, though, to limp this thing back to the pits and only fall down to 6th. That's critical to his race. He has still got a shot at pulling off maybe a podium or at least a top 5 here.
Oh, he almost lost control of the pit entry there. He's taking that quite fast for a car that is not complete.
Yeah, because we saw what happened last week when a couple drivers lost their rear wing. Boyle and Huber, they really struggled to make it back to the pits. Doesn't seem to be as bad at this track here with not as windy bits as what Silverstone is.
I mean, yeah, there's no track worse than Silverstone as far as demanding high aero and not having a rear wing. So that was the worst case of circumstances for those guys for sure last week, or last event.
Yeah. And we got a great battle here. Jeff McDonald trying to bounce back from an earlier incident is a little bit quicker right now than Tony. So we'll see what Jeff can do with Tony here. And we see Mark Dillon actually in the background there. Solid run for him in 5th.
Yeah, Mark Dillon up 11 from where he started there and keeping it clean. 4 seconds back from McDonald. Has 5 seconds ahead of Paletti, who we determined did not make a pit stop. Paul Boyle did, though, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Nürnberger and Boyle there in 7th and 8th both have already made the stop, and of course Newbie just did there. Newbie actually only coming out 2 seconds behind Paul Boyle despite that pretty dramatic collision there.
Yeah, and something of interest here. I think it was around 3 seconds when Boyle and Nürnberger did their pit stops was their difference. And Nürnberger's pulled 10 seconds on Paul. So Zach is really putting in some good times here. He could be looking at a podium once all these pit stops happen.
Yeah, right now, really hard to work out in mental math, trying to figure out where everyone is. Josh Doty there actually now putting in the fastest lap of the race as well. Obviously, he's back a lap from that dramatic early race collision, lap 4 or 5. And he's currently in 12th, but fastest lap of the race so far.
And he's only 3 seconds behind Bergquist for 11th, so just trying to, point race here a little and get some points back on the board here for him.
It would be quite valuable for that. Again, he was not at the first race at Silverstone, so any points he can get is good. Oh, that was nearly lost control by Tony Watson there. I can't believe he actually caught that.
That was very sketch. Good recovery though.
Yeah, just the slightest bit of lock on the front right tire, but then it also looked like it started to get a pretty aggressive slip angle there too. But back to nice, cool racing for him.
And as wild as this sounds, even despite Poletti's major incident on would have been the restart lap 1, it looks like he's still on for an event win here, running in 6th right now.
Daniel Real, what something happened. Was that how much time Steve Cubey really lost burning off that slowdown? He's now 8 seconds back from Real. Real just put in the fastest lap of the race. I mean, that's part of it for sure, but it was 4 seconds.
If Cubey's being a little more conservative now, because it's just these last few laps, 1.5 seconds quicker was Rio last lap, so Rio has really stepped it up. And the other driver that's really stepped it up is Jeff McDonald, continuing to close the gap on Tony here.
And McDonald starting the race on pole position after finishing 10th in the feature. And lucky to be able to avoid a lot of the chaos that we had at both the standing start and the rolling start of this race. And with an incident, fell back a couple positions. There was another minor lockup by Watson. I think maybe even one from Jeff McDonald there too.
Yeah, just keeping an eye. Nicholas Poletti is really closing the gap on Mark here, and Zach's closing the gap on Poletti. So Zach is looking really strong right now. One of the quicker cars on the track, and I believe he's already made his pit stop, so he's looking really good for a decent finish here.
Yeah, you can see here the 6 drivers who have not made a pit stop yet. Real Cubey, Watson, McDonald, Dillon, and Poletti. Those 6 drivers still need to make a stop. Everyone behind them is either out of this race or has already made their stop that they need to make it on fuel.
Oh, Jeff McDonald gets quite a bit of curve there. Recovers it nicely, but loses quite a bit of time to the back end of Tony Watson there.
Yeah, and that car behind is not for position as well. That's the car of Kevin Bergquist there, who is in 11th place. Now, he's certainly trying to hustle to stay ahead of Josh Doty, who just a little bit ago put in the purple lap of the race, fastest lap of the field. But those are not for position there between McDonald and Bergquist, and it looks like McDonald's letting him by, I think.
Oh, Mark Dillon Jr. around. Oh, he's having such a solid run in 5th place. It gets a little bit of front wing damage there, unfortunately.
Let's see what happens here.
Turn 3 for you.
Couldn't catch it early enough.
Now, of course, Mark has not made his pit stop yet, so he'll probably be coming in here this lap and getting that damage repaired.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, it's really like almost no damage at all. I mean, like it's nearly superficial. The winglets are intact. There's just a bit of scuff on the paint. That you hit that about as straight on as you can.
Oh, we see. Okay, never mind. That is just Josh Doty coming in. So, not sure why he's coming in again. Don't know if he's just trying to go for fastest lap or something. Unfortunately, we don't give points for fastest lap, but that would be. He would definitely be a candidate for it because he is very quick out there.
Yeah, interesting call because, like I say, he pit at the end of lap 4 with 25 laps, and from what I've been hearing, that 21 laps is easy, and 22 laps, if you do just a little bit of fuel saving, that he certainly should have been in the strategy zone, but coming into the pits regardless. Chris Newby now into the pits too, and Newby was just in just a couple laps ago after losing that rear wing.
He only ran 4 laps. laps and he's back in, so don't know.
Drive-through? Are we at that point with some of these drivers?
He's at 16.
Oh, Dan
incidents.
Real, that's right. That's him live. That's him live right now.
Oh my goodness, here comes Cube. Cube's gonna be right on him.
Cube's got a huge run. Is he going to be able to catch him before turn 9? I don't think he is. He's going to be stuck behind, but they are going to be super close now, actually battling for that first place position.
He's got the tire advantage now. He's got the pace advantage. He just needs to be a little patient. He'll get his chance out here. And what a run
Already. It's got to be hot tires for Real right now after that spin, and he's going to be at a major disadvantage. He goes to the inside. Late move. It's a bit of a late move.
This is not going to end well. He's going to drift down a little.
Switchback time by Cube. Is he going to be able to make it work?
I think Cube will have to wait until the next corner. I don't think he's close enough yet. Although he might go in a little bit deeper on the brakes. We'll see here in a moment as we're going to fight over who gets the inside.
Deep on the brakes for Cube. Oh, Cube. Oh, what a pass. He's made it. He's got it done.
What a move. I don't know if it's done yet. Daniel Real's going to fight back here and try to overcome his mistake here. Oh, there's a little bit of contact.
Slight contact between the two. Bit of a bump draft going on. Preferable position for Steve Cube. Switchback lock up by Cube. And Real's got the lead tentatively.
No, you can't go double file through here. It's not going to end well.
Cube's got to take it. Real has to yield to him. He's on the inside. He has the racing room.
I was waiting to see if someone was going to try that cutback there. We finally got to see it, and it almost worked for Daniel Real.
Steve Cube has now finally made the pass and solidified the position, and we'll see if now he's able to really start pulling away, but Real is right on the back of him. Oh, Real way wide. Rejoins the track without losing much time.
That is a slowdown. So that's going to give Cube quite a bit of a cushion now. As we see Tony Watson right behind these guys. He was 4 seconds back. He's now a second and a half back. He's in this race too, and so is Jeff McDonald.
Yeah, Tony Watson here in third. I mean, Real, he really would have been benefited if he had just gone for the pit then. And it just had been a rough lap. Get the tires cooled back down a little bit maybe. It would have been a pretty prime time, I think, to come into that pit stop.
Yeah. And you know what? This is going to get even more interesting now. Zach has cut the gap to the leader down to 17 seconds. I think Zach might actually come out as net leader in this.
Yeah, it's a short stop, and it's a bit of a short pit lane, but 17 seconds is not very much time, so absolutely could. I just wish I had the ability to run the time on pit loss here. I can just see pit lane time spent in the pit lane or time spent in the pit stop. So we're all just on conjecture here, but we're on lap 20, so these pits have to be coming in the next couple laps for these leaders.
Absolutely, and you have to think maybe now Real either pits this lap or is going to try another charge here. We'll see here in a moment. Yeah, and it looks like he's going to stay out, so mount another charge.
A very interesting decision there, as it looks like he has not been able to stay close enough to make a send. Yeah, I mean, if anything, he might be just losing a little bit, just dealing with the traffic, worrying about a car in front and behind, but still deciding to take it to the end of the fuel, I assume. So all those top five, as Paletti now cross line, all those top five still going without pitting.
What got Daniel Real into that situation? He just clipped a curve right in that last sector there that unfortunately sent his car around, and he couldn't get it going right away, which cost him that 10-second gap he had.
Yeah, no gap is safe in any of these races, but absolutely in these F3 cars, they're difficult to drive, but you can put them on the limit so well, and so absolutely no shame for any of these drivers making a mistake, because they're hard to drive, and nobody is mistake-free of these things.
No, they're not. I mean, it goes to show you though, this race is never over. It can change that quick.
Yeah, I think anyone, if you're used to watching, the endurance stuff, the margin of error is usually much larger in endurance vehicles. These much more frequent to make mistakes that end up taking you out of the race in these open wheel cars, and we've seen that today. We saw it at Silverstone as well.
Yeah, we're winding down here, so When are we going to see these last pit stops for these leaders here? How close is their fuel?
Last race, and that's stay around to the
Daniel
wall.
Rioux, that's a
That's
big
a
one.
race over for him.
It becomes a two-horse race now with Steve Cubey and Daniel Rioux. With Tony Watson.
And maybe Zach
So-
Nürnberger.
And Zach Nürnberger, I think, is sitting in the catbird seat here. He's continually quicker than the leaders, so it's looking really strong here. It's going to be interesting to see where he cycles out.
Got Dan Real incident here. Victim to turn one, like many other drivers we've seen.
It's so easy to do that too, and that was a very quick. He didn't get a lot of speed scrubbed off of that, unfortunately, before he hit, and that really just annihilated his car, and he had to call the tow truck.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers fall victim to that corner. However, I think so far in between both these heats, that was the most destructive.
No, Tony Watson's off.
Luck, he should be able to rejoin fine. Just a little bit of a rally trip there. Actually only lost maybe even half a second there.
And not great when you're trying to close on the gap on the leader there, but thankfully he was able to keep it in one piece and continue his charge here.
So the longest I think we saw in the feature race was 24, at the end of lap 24. And that was from some of those guys that can really stretch the fuel. Let's keep an eye and see if anyone's able to do it. Mark Dillon Jr. off track as Paul Boyle makes his way around. See what happens here.
I have to wonder if Paletti's saving. It sounds like he might be saving. Can Paletti possibly stretch his fuel here? We have to wonder because he had really good pace in the first race and he hasn't been doing a lot this race. I think he's been saving fuel.
Yeah. After being involved in that early incident, just figured that was his best chance. So we'll see where that puts him. Obviously, you can't be driving that fast when you're trying to save fuel, but is that going to be enough of a benefit to not have to come into that pit?
Yeah, he's got a 3-second gap on Zach right now. So he needs to stay in front of Zach if he wants any sniff at the victory.
We are in lap 23 of 25. Steve Cubey about halfway through this lap, and very interested to see if he's going to come into the pits here at the end of this lap here, or if that's going to come 24 or not at all.
Riding on board with him, it sounds like he might even be saving a little.
Tony Watson must be as well because he's not catching up.
Yeah, I think this is just gamesmanship here. Who can save the most amount of fuel? Cubey is coming in.
All right, there we
Tony's
go.
coming in.
Steve Cubey coming
So
in the
there's your
pits,
top
lap
two.
23.
Jeff McDonald. Oh, that's going to be a penalty possibly for Jeff. He missed the commitment line coming in there. I don't know if that'll impact him or not.
We'll know in a few seconds.
And here comes Paletti. He stays out. And Jeff McDonald does get a penalty for that one.
That's such a shame. It's unfortunate to see.
And so if Paletti can make it, he is on for a shot at the victory. But if not, this is Zach's race to lose. Zach has already done his pit stop. And again, an interesting strategy. Can he pull off another victory this week?
Even if Paletti can make it, can he make it going fast enough to fend off Zach here? But yeah, Zach coming out ahead of Steve Cubey by a good 3 seconds or so, 2 laps to go, and he does not have to worry about fuel. Paletti may have to worry about fuel up there, but he's actually pulling away from Nürnberger right now. So either he has given up and he's coming in the pit right now, or he is safe and he is confident about being able to take it to the end.
You have to wonder if Paletti is having deja vu. I mean, same running order, 2 to go, different scenario this time where they're on different strategies, but can Paletti stretch it another lap? I don't see how that's going to be possible, but if anyone could do it, it's going to be him.
Steve Cubey is catching up to Zach Nürnberger, but with only 1 lap to go once they get to the line, I'm not sure if it's fast enough. It will be a heroic last lap.
He's gonna need to put in a Lando Norris final lap here if he wants any shot at Zach.
Let's see here. This is
stays
Paletti
out.
not pitting, so he must. He was not taking it
He's
slow on that
committed.
last lap, so he must be confident here as they come across the white flag.
Remember, I was saying his pace wasn't looking that great. I think he might have enough, or he might sputter towards the end of the lap. But he's got a 4-second cushion
And
over Zach here. This
gaining
could be really
4.1 now.
Yeah, and Cubey's closing on Zach, so this is getting really interesting. 3 different strategies in the top 3, with Cubey on the quickest strategy right now, but he's also the furthest back.
I don't think
You
Cube
might
is.
just want to ride on board with Paletti here and hear his engine here and see if he starts sputtering.
Cube is falling back from Zach Nurnberger. Actually, now it looks like these may be the positions we have with the as long as Paletti does make it on fuel, Cube cannot make up 3 seconds. I don't think in this last half of the lap.
Oh, Cube's around or something, minor incident. He keeps it going for third, but he.
Oh,
he
listen
will
to
not
that
be
engine
catching
note.
Zach now.
He's barely using it. That thing is barely on right now.
Yeah, he's just trying to coast it. Will he have enough?
He looks like he has enough. He's got 3.7 seconds. He's coming up to Rent right now, coming around the right-hander, now down into Red Bull Mobile. He just has to coast to the end here. As long as he doesn't get a slowdown, he should be here for the win. He lost the win last race at Silverstone at heartbreak in the final corner, but he takes the win out of nowhere today, and Zach Nurnberger finishes second, first for the B class again. Steve Cube coming in third. Tony Watts across the line, and Paul Boyle salvages a 5th place from that race as well. Only 9 drivers finishing this race, and 10th all the way back to 19th, either not even starting or not able to finish.
But he's still got a little bit of fuel in his car, so he totally committed to that strategy right from the beginning, and that was, I think, the only reason why he could make it. I can't wait to talk to him and hear what his thought process was after that initial incident.
Yeah,
and he will also take the overall winner tonight by winning both races.
Yeah, it had to have been a decision that he made instantly. As soon as that he was involved in that crash, that had to have been immediately his thought for that to have even been a possibility, I think.
Okay, and he is out of fuel now. His car is out of fuel now, so he had quite a bit in the tank there. So kudos to him.
This is Kevin Bergquist here trying to finish up the lap. That is Jeff McDonald back there, and that is for position, but Bergquist is going to stay ahead. He's going to finish here in 8th. Unfortunate for that penalty for McDonald, missing that commitment line on the pit entry, but will still finish 9th place, actually higher than he finished in the first heat.
Yeah, that's got to be some heartbreak for Jeff. He was actually really quick tonight in that second race and potentially could have been on for a win, but that incident there just really wrecked his chances there. But good, solid bounce back for him to get 9th.
All right, if we have some of these drivers ready for the... Well, actually, sorry, don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's run over our official results here for the feature race. Our race winner, Nick Paletti, double winner for the night. And behind him, Zach Nurnberger, only 3.4 seconds back. Different fuel strategies. Paletti, the only one to go without stopping. Zach Nurnberger comes in second with Steve Cube in third, Tony Watson in 4th, and Paul Boyle in 5th. Following them, Mark Dillon Jr., John Kelly, Kevin Bergquist, and Jeff McDonald round out the finishers. Dan Real, Chris Newby, Josh Doty, and Stephen Thompson unable to finish the race. Leonardo Elijah, Adrian Garcia-Hill, Daniel Barnett, Ken Huber, Terry Kiger Jr., and Richard Curry not taking the grid. All right, let's hear from some of these drivers that we had for our winners today. If we have some of them in the booth, possibly.
All right, Nick, you got a copy?
I gotcha.
All right, so, you know, you had that incident on the restart of that second race there. Looked like your chances were kind of, you know, heartbroken at that point, but you managed to bounce back and pull off the win. Talk us through what your process was with the fuel strategy there.
It was just safe. It was just saving. I mean, I was like, once I got caught, I don't know how close it was because I still haven't gone back and seen the replay, but as soon as that happened, I'm like, well, there goes the race, but you know, might as well just save fuel, see if I can get anybody who has to pick, because I was probably gonna try to save fuel regardless, that or box early, but yeah, once the incident happened, I was just saving. So lifting in 1, 3, and 4, and even going into like 10, 11. And yeah, that got me the fuel to to make sure I stayed out that lap. I was so scared someone else was going to be doing the fuel strat.
Did you
How
already
long
know?
into that? I was just going to ask, how long into that stint did you eventually realize that it was on the cards for you that you could make it?
Like probably 5 laps to go, I looked at the gap and I saw like, if they don't make it to the end, I got this. But at the beginning, I was like, because even saving, because they were fighting so much at the front, I wasn't losing tons of time. So once I started seeing the gap really wasn't going up between me and the leader, that's when I started to realize, like, I don't know, I might have it.
I was wondering, coming into this, I mean, obviously you have to do a lot of thinking on the fly, but did you already know that it was feasible to do the sprint race on just one tank of fuel, provided you had that red flag, or was it something that you made the call to do and were like, I think it might work, and let's see what happens?
I mean, I knew it was possible after Silverstone, which I mean, it's much more time on the throttle. So here, it's a lot easier to save fuel. So I think going into the sprint, I knew, and I was talking with Paul, that if we got the red flag, which seems almost inevitable, unfortunately, if we get the red flag, as long as you can top off when you come back in, save as much as you can on that pace lap, and then basically all I had to save was a lap of fuel. And at that point, it's pretty easy.
Well, congratulations on the double win here today. Again, lost the win last event at Silverstone in heartbreak right at the very end in the final corner, but did not need to pass someone on the final corner today. Won both races, first one quite dominantly as well. What do you take from tonight heading forward into our next event, which will be at Monza?
Pick your breaking point early into turn one. Monza's gonna be rough. I mean, if you can get some clear track, maybe I'll have some good pace, but everyone's usually pretty fast at Monza, and turn one's gonna be rough on standing starts or rolling starts. It's always rough. So we'll just try not to get caught up, but if we do, we'll just, I guess, fuel save again and see what happens.
Well, congratulations again on these wins today, and I would not be shocked if we hear from you again in the future, possibly even next event at Monza. So good luck, and have fun with your preparation for that.
Thanks, guys, and great broadcast. Loved it last week, and I'm sure this week will be great as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You have a good night, Nick. All right, and if you want to bring in our B-class winner overall, Zach Nurnberger.
Hey, Zach, talk us through that chase there at the end of you trying to reel Poletti in on that fuel strategy.
Oh man, that was fun. I got a really good jump on that restart because no one knew where the start finish line was, and then me and Steven almost got into the lead before turn one. And then we checked up because we are all confused as to what was happening. So then I had that big spin with my brake bias too far back. So I knew I had some speed, but it was just one of those. I just kind of pit early and just kind of hoped that once everything shuffled out that I'd be in a good spot. And yeah, that was me just kind of just going full bore. I just decided to take fuel early. I thought saving 2-ish laps around a track like this would be pretty tough. So I just opted not to go for it. Man, I was just really gutted. I couldn't catch Nick there. I got within a couple seconds and then, lost some traction in the rears. And, kind of stinks when you have the ability to push flat out and he's fuel saving and there's just nothing you can do about it. But we were joking around going across the line, so we're gonna call it 1-1 and see where the next race takes us.
Yeah, it definitely felt like deja vu watching last week's race and then this week 1-2 again in the closing laps. Fortunately, it didn't go your way. Tell us, what kind of what exactly did that pit stop at the beginning do for you? Did that give you a clean racetrack to put in some good laps to overcut a lot of these other drivers?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of the just not having dirty air. I know they're not as bad on these cars as they are, say, like a Formula One car, and you're like glued behind them. But this particular setup, at least in my opinion, I felt like the aero balance was like really far towards the rear. It was almost like I had no front wing and then like a dump truck on the back. So you kind of had like a lot of that natural push, and so I think just staying out of out of people's way. You're not trying to you're not worried about people passing you or having different braking zones and different lift and coast points. And I think just sitting back there just by myself running laps, because I don't think I was really faster than Kube and Tony or any of those guys. I was really surprised. I thought I'd come back out in around fourth or fifth after those pit stops. But I think just getting that clean air, at least on this particular circuit and setup combo, was a little more, useful, I guess, than it was, say, at Silverstone.
There actually was a section during that race where you and Cube were the fastest two on track. So I think taking good advantage of that clean air. Now had to start from the pits in the first race due to an incident from last event. Unfortunately, may have another situation like that happen again next event at Monza.
Handicap me, man.
What are you thinking for Monza coming up? I mean, it's you don't have any history there, surely, right?
Oh no, surely not. I mean, obviously the EOL was well deserved. This one is a little bit tougher to take, just because I spun and people just happened to be there. But those are the rules, and I guess if I wouldn't have spun, that would not have happened. Monza, you don't have to worry about it. I won't be there at the standing start because I'll be starting from the pits. But yeah, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. I think that's gonna be a little trickier to come from behind. Turn 1, turn 3 were some scary spots around this place. Incident points. A lot of people pushing wide on pit entry too and get some stop and holds. So, I mean, we've seen the 1-2s from me and Nick. I mean, of course, you'd love to go and continue that streak, but if I had to pick any of the three to be a drop week, this is most likely it. Just the draft is so powerful. So, we'll see what we can do. See if we can pull some strategies out. But I mean, I think the goal is just to minimize the negative effects of that feature race, or the first race. I know iRacing has them backwards, but just try and get that invert spot and see if I can make something happen the second time around, like I have been doing with Nick. But I think that would be best case scenario. So you never know until you go out there and find out. So looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations on that win that you got. Leader for the B class, continuing to extend that advantage. And actually, I think you'll be second overall coming out of tonight. So congratulations on that. And we look forward to hearing from you again in the future. And maybe you'll even be in A class next race.
Yeah, hopefully. So, thanks for having me, guys. And looking forward to next week.
All right, have a good night, Zach. And those are our drivers we got to hear from today. What a fantastic race that was. It had a lot to live up to after that Silverstone race, but still had excitement up and down the field all the way throughout. And hopefully, we get to see some of the drivers who unfortunately had to bow out early from this one. We get to see a little bit more from them next event at Monza.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the sprint races have not disappointed. They have been incredible. 2 fuel strategy races, and I mean, with Monza turn 1, you have to almost expect we might get some more red flags next week, and if that becomes the case, we could see another fuel strategy race next week, and maybe round 3 of Poletti versus Nürnberger. So excited to see that, and like you said, hopefully we see some of those guys like Ken and Adrian back next week, who are very fast, and unfortunately just had incidents that took them out of it tonight.
Yep. So, again, if you are looking for the open wheel for amateurs, race 3 will be Monza in 2 weeks. If you're also here to watch some of the endurance stuff, next week will be Sebring for endurance for amateurs. So see us here next week for E4A, or the week after for O4A. And everyone have a fantastic night.